Hey, everybody, it's Lance Dawson. I am back with my number one amigo, Andrew Stewart, for yet another episode of Backstage Lowdown. This week in the studio, one of the founding members of the prog rock band Strange Advance. They're from the West Coast and they have sold out shows right across Canada. They have a tour coming up, and Andrew and I are lucky enough to get Drew in the studio this week. This is going to be really interesting, so stay tuned. And before I let you go and we get to talk to Drew, you need to know that this episode of Backstage Lowdown, like some of the ones before, is sponsored by Look Digital Marketing. From stunning websites to full service digital marketing, they help your business shine online. See the difference with Look Digital Marketing. I mean, look at Andrew. Guy's so handsome. It's Look Digital Marketing. It's all mirrors and lights. Duct tape a little bit. I don't want to get into it. It's a whole thing. All right, Drew Arnott in studio with us. Here we go. Thanks for joining us today, Drew. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
my
We both
pleasure.
appreciate it. It's awesome. So we were just talking about Strange Advance. You guys have been around for since '82. This is pretty amazing, and started off with just three guys. Yes,
It started off with two guys. It went
two
to three.
guys,
It went back down to two.
and
Yeah,
now up
something.
to
It was basically Darryl and myself. We were
yeah,
basically a songwriting partnership
right.
that developed into a band.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Did you start off writing songs with Darryl, or were you both individual songwriters and then decided to collaborate?
I didn't write at all. Darryl was a big inspiration for me. He was writing such awesome material at such a young age. And we met when we were like maybe 20 or something. And then eventually I decided I wanted to try my hand at writing a song. And I ended up getting I looked, I thought, well, what I'm going to write a song. What's it going to be about? I don't know. What's it going to be called? All right. I opened up this newspaper from Scotland that my mom had kicking around, and they had a pop music page.
Yeah.
And there was a band called Slick, and they were number one with a song called Forever and Ever. And I thought, all right, I'm going to write a song called Forever and Ever. And I do that. And and then shortly after, I was in Scotland on holiday, and the band Slick was from Scotland.
Okay,
And I thought, I've got to go to the record store and pick up their record and see what their version of Forever and Ever is like compared to mine. Well, quite different, but I quite liked it. And they were sort of like a more sophisticated Bay City Rollers kind of a group.
Okay.
right.
Uh, and but anyway, the funny thing was that they were at that time looking for a lighting director. And at that time, I was doing lights for Sweeney Todd that had, we had like Roxy Roller, number one song in the country, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so Slick were quite interested, and they actually ended up hiring me. Well, anyway, I met with their lead singer mid-year and their manager, and and it was great. About 3 months ago, I was able to actually hang out with Midgear and tell him the story. Hey, you used to be my boss, except it only lasted one day because when I found out what they were paying me, it's like, oh no, I'm sorry,
I
that's
That's
not
not
can't
going
going
to
to
I
work
work.
for
can't do
me.
that.
No, but it was fun getting to reconnect with Midge.
That's crazy. Like I can't believe that it's now been 42 years since Worlds Away. Like most of our listeners were just at the point that they're starting to appreciate music and their love of music is starting to grow. And it just seems incredible that here in 2025 that people are still celebrating the album. Did you think that that was going to happen when you first dropped it?
No clue. No clue whatsoever. It's really been an amazing trip. Because even though the band has not been out on the road or, working at all,
Yeah.
the songs, I mean, I've lived off of royalties for all this time, so I know the music is still listened to, and it's great. And we get all these people out to shows now who is like, you were like the last item on my bucket list. Finally I get to cross
Right.
that off. So, and by the way, you can come back twice. You don't have to just cross it off once. Cross it off many times. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, yeah. So it is amazing, and the music, of course, when you're a 15-year-old and you're listening to the radio and you're getting into music and stuff, that music that you enjoyed and loved at the age of 15, it stays with you. It's embedded
Right.
in your psyche. So
Yeah.
you've got them for life.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No, that's a really good point. We all remember, those pivotal years and whatever. And then when you listen to that type of music later on, it absolutely transports you back to what you were doing, right?
Yeah,
15,
yeah,
16,
absolutely.
18.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
it's a phenomenal memory aid, if nothing else.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got
Uh,
a quick question before we leave the songwriting aspect. You're saying Daryl, and you were writing so young, so early. I remember in an interview, Paul McCartney had said he can't even believe that guy wrote that many songs. Like he looks at sort of a younger Paul McCartney, where all that music came from, because he can't do it now. And
mhm.
I guess that's kind of my question. What do you think it is about being that age and tapping into something, and being so prolific? And now at our stage of life, assuming we're all sort of in the same ilk of,
Mhm.
of age, that you struggle to not come up with ideas, but just come up with ideas and be relevant and put it across in a creative way. What do you think it is?
Well, first of all, I don't know if what I write now is relevant anymore or not. But that aside, I've never stopped writing. I mean, I write on a daily basis. I have come up
Yeah.
with 2 or 3 songs per day. So unfortunately, none of them are of the Paul McCartney ilk, but what can you do? Yeah, and by the way, looking at Brian Wilson passed away. That was very,
Yeah.
very
Yes,
sad, and
absolutely.
huge, huge talent on par with Paul McCartney. But in one of the articles, Paul McCartney was talking about the influence of Brian Wilson on him and Beatles music, and they actually had a list of Paul McCartney songs that just stretches on forever. It's
Yeah.
just astounding what that guy wrote. So, and yes, I've probably written just as many songs. I'm still waiting to write one as good as a Paul McCartney song. But anyway,
Aren't we all?
yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. I know that they talked about Sergeant Pepper wouldn't have happened had Pet Sounds not.
that's right. Exactly.
And Pet Sounds
That's
not been released,
yeah. Oh no,
and it's yeah,
I think it kind of scared the Beatles. We thought we were king of the world. It's like, but listen to this. It's like, oh, this is amazing. We got to try
yeah.
harder.
Well,
Yeah.
and you know who else that affected? If you watched the documentary of Laurel Canyon, because there was that whole
Oh yeah.
scene going on in Laurel Canyon with the Eagles and Crosby, Stills, and Nash, that whole group. And they were saying like they looked at the Beach Boys as just sort of a bunch of nerds because you look at like the tight white pants and the short
Right.
haircuts and kind of had written
Right.
them off. And then Pet Sounds comes out and it crushed them. They were all
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Holy cow! Like we're doing our hippie rock thing over here, and what is that?"
Yeah.
And that's like the Mozart of the U.S. So
Yeah. And I feel very fortunate to have been alive during this
yeah,
time period, to have the Beatles, to have Led Zeppelin, to have David Bowie. It's like the list goes on and on. It's remarkable, really.
yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
you were saying about being able to live off some royalties off this one successful album, and then that album helps other albums and stuff. How do you feel about like you came up at a really good time where people actually could still make money from or make a living or whatever you want to call it by selling the actual music, not depending on tours and or t-shirts.
yeah.
Look at artists that are trying to make it today. What's your commentary on where we've gone? It seems like streaming
Oh,
has sort of decimated it all.
oh yeah, it totally has. It's there's as many bad things as you can say about record labels. The fact is that back in the day, they would, well, for one thing, they would develop artists. It's like they would sign an artist with the intention, you're going to be popular. We're going to make you popular because, we love your music. We think other people will too. So we're going to put out a single. Oh, it doesn't do much. Well, that next single. All right, well, neither single did well. Let's go to the next album. Let's start the next album. Maybe you'll break on album two or album three or whatever. Now,
Right.
if you get signed to a label and your first single tanks, bye, you're gone.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and the music scene is so fractured and so splintered. And yes, you can find anything you want on Spotify practically, but do you have the 6 months it's going to take you to weed through the 10 million songs in order to find some new act or whatever? It's very hard, very hard. Yeah,
Yeah. And the definition of tanking becomes very different too, right? Because in terms of like if album sales is the only metric they're looking at versus, well, how many times was this one song streamed? It makes it difficult to have an actual album as a project as opposed to,
yeah.
releasing singles. Yeah, it's a difficult landscape to navigate nowadays.
We see on the one hand, back in the day, there was a very high bar that had to be reached in order to get into an actual recording studio and make an
Hmm.
album, and of course to have it actually distributed and whatever. And now, with technology, it's so simple to for some guy in his bedroom to make I mean, look at Billie Eilish, her and her
Right.
brother sitting in their bedroom, making phenomenal work. And so we have the capacity to do that, but unfortunately, everybody's doing it. and
Yeah.
and so now it's like there's I don't know what the number is, but every day on Spotify there's like they add 15,000 songs or something, whatever the number is. It's just
Right.
insane. Yeah.
Yeah, DistroKid is one of the distributors for music, and it's that's even low. I think it's more like 60,000 across the thing of songs. So, and I've addressed that before because you're absolutely right. For every Billie Eilish, there is, and it's a generational thing too, Andrew. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. Is that I applaud the fact that things have become cheaper, and so kids can create and learn about music and do all that stuff at home, but no one has given them a filter. Like yourself, I'll write a whole bunch of songs. I don't record all of them because some of them are crap. You have to write
Yeah.
that stuff to get to the one that is
Yeah.
worth hearing.
Oh yeah.
And no one has taught these kids any filter of saying, okay, you don't have to upload everything you write. And it congests the system for something that, hey, Strange Advance has a new single out,
Yeah.
but you can't get to it because it's
Oh yeah.
buried and
Oh no, something that one of the problems today in the music scene, especially for young people, is they're not working with producers. They're self-producing.
Hmm.
And
right.
oh, very good. You're talented enough to, get the tracks laid down for everything. But buddy, you need a producer. You need someone to step in and say, this is not a good song. I'm sending you back to the
Right.
workshop. Come back when you write a good chorus for it. And
Yeah.
it's like, but if you can do it by yourself, and of course, producers cost money. So I understand the reasoning, but it doesn't make for, phenomenal material, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And having a fresh set of ears on any song is only going to make it better,
Well,
I
our
would assume.
first experience with producers was with Bruce Fairburn, who, of course, went on to produce so many great albums and stuff and was hugely successful. And that was his thing. He would sit down with Aerosmith and say, "No, you're not ready to make a record. You don't have
Yeah.
the songs."
Yeah.
You know, and they would say, "Okay, well, you're our producer. All right, back to the drawing board, and we'll be back in a couple months. And okay, now you're ready." You know,
Right.
and that doesn't happen today with these young artists.
No,
Well, and they're
agreed.
not signed or plugged into something where they have
No,
access maybe to that
no.
as well. And if they haven't been around long enough to make connections in the industry or know somebody,
Hmm.
or even running them by you. Do you know what I mean? Like anybody who's been in the business saying, "Oh man, you've been up there on tour. What do you think of these songs? Are they good enough to cut?"
That's such a tough thing to deal with, though. I mean, what do you say to somebody who's slaved and sweated and worked on songs, and now they're laying them in front of you, and
Right.
and what are you going to do? It's like, oh no, I would suggest a career at McDonald's perhaps, or something. You can't say that.
Yeah.
And
No,
also,
that's true, but you can critique
oh
something
yeah,
and saying, look, that the way you've got it done now is more like a journal entry. And
Yeah.
what I would suggest is, like I'm sure you could be much more constructive than say, no, you
Well,
should really walk away.
well, I've never actually said that, because the fact of the matter is, what do I know? Whoever's playing me these tracks, it's like in 6 months you might be, top of the charts or something. It's like, whoops, sorry about that.
Yeah.
So,
And that does happen, but
oh
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah,
Well, artists are probably not traditionally known as a group of people profiling here, but with super thick skin. But I think that really needs to happen in order for you to put out these songs. I feel like, look, I've written this thing. If I put it out, now it's not mine anymore. People can like it or they don't like it.
yeah,
But I've worked with a friend of mine is a good songwriter and a really good musician. He's written for Amy Sky and a few other Canadian artists. And if I bring him stuff, it's funny. It makes me laugh all the time because he'll say, "Oh, I really like that. It's not a good song, but I like it." Or
yeah.
he'll conversely say, "That is a really good song. Good job. I don't like it, but it's a good song." But I think people have to recognize there's something that's structurally good and that could really go somewhere. It doesn't have to really appeal to our individual taste, right, Drew? Like Drew, might not like the song, but you probably been around long enough to say, "Yeah, that's a well written
Oh,
thing." You
absolutely,
know,
absolutely. Yeah, no, it's very true. One thing that when people do send me songs, and occasionally people ask me to produce, and I tell them, listen, I'm happy to talk about your music and critique it or whatever, but I've got to be honest. So if you're
sure,
prepared for the cold hard truth,
for
and
sure.
and exactly as you say, I mean, sometimes they hit it out of the park, and sometimes it's like, okay, well, this needs work, that needs work. I worked with one band where first day of recording, I sent them home because they had great songs, they were great players, terrible sense of timing. They could not play in time. And I'm going, it's called a metronome.
right.
Sit there and practice with the metronome. And when you can keep the beat, we can maybe start again, and we
Right.
did. And it took like 6 months or something for them to actually grasp the concept.
Or
But
fire
anyway,
your drummer. I guess the drummer gets fired. I don't know.
no, they didn't even have a drummer.
Oh, there you
But
go.
That's what they
That
needed.
that explains that.
yeah, yeah.
So that's interesting. So even within the band, then with you and Darryl, and then in future adding different musicians, um, how long did it take? Like you have to get to a position where you and Darryl can do the exact same thing for each other, right? When you're co-writing these songs, or Darryl brings something to the band,
Hmm.
and that's I think the initial ground of really gaining thick skin to have these guys that you're friends with and you're creators with. You've got to be able to have somebody say that we need to change that, or can what about this, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, we had a very simple rule. If one of us didn't like an idea, it's gone. There's no argument.
Mhm.
It's not like, but it's a really good idea, listen to it again. It's like, no, no, no. If I don't like it, forget it. If he doesn't like it,
Okay,
my idea is gone. And that it eased the path for us.
right.
So we just landed on the things that we both felt strongly about, and it worked out just fine.
That's
That's
great.
cool. I would
Yeah.
admit to saying that. I mean, there's always different ways of getting to the same endpoint. And I
Yeah.
think that, if somebody says, like in the group I'm with, if somebody says, like, I don't like that, I listen. But I have this philosophy of try everything
Oh
because
yeah.
maybe when I write something, maybe I'm not hearing all the possibilities. So I have the ability to lobby for something I really believe in. If somebody says, well, I don't really like that, I'm like, okay, let's give it some time. Just go with me on this, try everything and see what you think. If 2 weeks
Yeah.
from now you still say you hate it, fine, we'll get rid of it.
Yeah.
So I can lobby. But then I also appreciate when somebody says, what if we played this song faster? Or what if we played this song
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
got to the chorus quicker or something like that? And then
Well,
I'm like,
there
I
are
don't like
so
it,
many.
but yeah, let's try it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So many stories about exactly that, where it's like, a song's just laying there, you know. I was going to say like a limp biscuit, but uh,
That's a great
you
name for a
know,
band. Somebody had to pick that up.
and but it's like somebody else says, it's like, well, look, the feel of this song is all wrong. We should try it like this, and then it's like magic. everything clicks. It's like
Right.
finally we've arrived. It's a
Yeah.
fantastic feeling.
That is pretty cool with something that you
Mhm.
probably would have discarded and somebody said, no, we can make this something.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Andrew and I were also talking about you guys are about, you're launching this big tour and sold out sites across Canada. How are you excited about that?
It's so much fun. It's so much more fun than it was in the 80s. Because in the 80s,
Interesting.
I was just too scattered and we didn't have management for different periods of time. So it fell upon me to make all sorts of bad management decisions. I didn't have to pay anybody though. That was
Yeah.
good.
There you go. You got your money's worth.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, it's like it's so much more fun now. It's like I have time to stop, you know, uh, meeting the fans. You didn't do that in the 80s.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
were up
okay.
on stage, you were the band, and they were the the minions or whatever.
Right.
And now it's like we're all friends.
That's wicked.
I've
Yeah.
met so many people, that oh, you've listened to our music for 40 years. It's like, oh, that's amazing. And you hear the stories and how the music has impacted them. And it validates and it justifies, all the hard
Yeah.
work and the pain and the grief you go through. So in the end, it's an amazing experience these days.
Has the way that you now listen to and play your music, have you found that it's changed from the early days that maybe there's a new meaning to it than on the day that you wrote it? Does that lead to some of the excitement that you're now having on stage?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Something that the songs the meaning of the songs for me has changed over the years. I mean, I listen to my own songs. It's like, what was I talking about? And now it's like, oh, I get it now. It's like I understand. Where the root of
Yeah.
the idea came from, and the essence of the feeling behind it and stuff. And sometimes it's just like it just comes out. It just sort of falls out of you. And sometimes, of course, you have to work hard. But at the end of the day, it's like, what's it about? And I say, like, everybody's got an equal ability to decide, for themselves, what a song is about. Everyone takes their own meaning from songs.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I get asked all the time, what's this song about? It's like, do you really want to know? It's like you like the song, and whatever it means to you, that's what it means. It's like, and if I, uh, you know, press my explanation or my origin story or whatever, it's like, oh, really? Oh, that's not what I was thinking at all. It's like, I don't want to ruin anyone's, you
No.
know, yeah.
That's a really good comment. Andrew, remind me, it was either Steve Strongman or Danny Michelle. We were talking, I think one of those two guys were talking about exactly that when they've gone out and done a solo show somewhere. Um, they've
I think that
noticed
was
that
Steve.
sometimes you think it was Steve, you know where I'm going with
Think.
this. They
Yeah, yeah,
said
yeah.
a lot of artists will spend, 2 minutes preamble before doing the song of, oh, I wrote this when I did this, and this is what it felt like. And you literally create this roadmap for people. And he said, I hate that. I
Mhm.
can't stand it. Just play the song and let them figure out what it means to them and the
Oh yeah.
application to their life, which is what I think, to a greater point, is what Drew's saying. And so, yeah, I don't think you create a roadmap for people, right?
No, no, no. Everyone takes what they want, and that's totally valid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now back
I
in
agree.
the early days, much music, much music was a thing, and you were no longer just behind a mic. You were out there on a screen. How much
Pretending to
did
be good looking,
well,
a good looking actor in a video. It's like,
well, exactly.
oh
That's what I was
God.
wondering. Like how how did your visual identity, like how important was it to the band at that point? How much focus went in?
Wasn't it measured in spandex? I think that was, I
Zero.
think it was
Zero.
measured in
Zero.
the
It's all
metric is
about
the amount of spandex, I think.
it's all so
No,
it's just about the
something
music.
we could have used spandex and makeup or whatever, but no, we were au natural, and we were not into the video, especially because it's like, oh, so you want us to compete with Duran Duran? seriously? You know, us frolicking on our rowboat while they're in the Caribbean on their yacht. It's like, no, no. And that's the other
Jeez.
thing, videos, obviously I love film and I love
Mhm.
the visual aspect of things, but it's budget.
Yeah.
How much money can you spend on this thing? It's like, can we do this? Can we do this shoot? Can we do this location? No, you can't. You got to shoot in your backyard. And that can also be good too, to have creative limitations or whatever, milk it, get as much out of it as you can. But and Darryl and I just didn't really have any interest in it, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for our listeners, since Drew used both the word frolicking and au naturel, I don't think, to the best of my recollection, they ever performed naked. I don't think Strange Advance had naked videos.
In our
Correct me if
minds,
I'm wrong.
we
He
were
did
all
say au naturel, and then he used the word frolicking. I think we need some clarification, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I don't like to scare your audience or anything, but I'm not sure if you're aware. I am totally naked underneath these clothes.
Fantastic.
That is a special surprise for tomorrow night at the Phoenix.
Yeah, yeah. I'm always begging Andrew, who's a really good photographer. Is like, can you just hit us with a filter? Like, why do we have to look like we really do? What is wrong with you?
There's only so much I can do, my friend.
I don't know.
I'm enjoying the Uber ambiance here. I'm doing all my interviews in Uber from now on.
Did you just kick the driver out? Like, I don't think the car's not moving. You say, look, man, I got to do an interview. Get the hell out of this car.
Oh, I'm telling you, I'm ready for this guy to turn around and give me a punch. Saying, "Get out already!
Exactly.
The ride is over."
Oh man.
Or maybe even worse, who are those two clowns you're talking to? My God.
Well, listen, you might as well say hi to Big Stu.
Hi guys.
Hey,
Hey, buddy.
There you go. There you go. I apologize for Andrew. It's all his fault.
Yes.
It's all Andrew's fault.
That's hilarious. So listen, let's keep going back a little bit. Do you remember the first time that you felt that a song really connected with your audience? And
I
what
would
were you
say
feeling
that,
like at that point?
I would say that "Worlds Away" is the first song that it sort of had an impact on the people I was around. For instance, Bob Rock just loved "Worlds Away." He was just totally enamored with it. And it's like, it's so gratifying that somebody who's had, such a breadth of experience and, but it was so meaningful to him. And yeah, as a matter of fact, it was a song that my mom requested, got played at her funeral, and I've heard so many stories. And sorry, I'm just trying to extricate my hand from this,
Yeah, take your time.
so you saw a shot of the big guns there.
I feel seasick. What's going on?
Yeah. But
is-
yeah, like "Worlds Away," for instance, I can remember in 1 week, some young ice skater in competition used "Worlds Away" as her music track. And, and a friend of mine said, come on, jump in the car. We're going. It's like, where are we going? It's a surprise. So we go to this back lane through the back door of this place. And now I'm sitting in a strip club watching a stripper dance to "Worlds Away." It's like, all right,
nice.
that's very interesting.
Can be used
That
in
is-
so many formats.
I didn't think about that as a musical goal, but I'm writing that down. That might be, like, I get it, nominated for Juno, all the great things that Strange Advance has done, but the stripper soundtrack,
Yeah.
didn't see it coming. That's great.
No, that was a nice surprise.
Royalties are royalties. At the end of the day, figure
Well, now
skating.
the funny thing is about royalties and "Worlds Away." "Worlds Away," when it came out, well, first of all, the album came out and the single came out, "She Controls Me," which was popular. It did well, but DJs started to play "Worlds Away," and the record company said, "Well, hold it. We should do like a radio edit because that song's over 7 minutes. So we go back in the studio, we do an edit, get it down to 5 minutes. and DJs wouldn't play it. They just kept playing the original 7-minute song, And the cool thing about that was that on radio, you get paid every time a song gets played. But if it goes over a certain time period, you get paid again. So the Worlds Away, I got paid twice every time that song was played on the radio. By the way,
Right.
would you mind playing that a couple times for me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not a problem.
get that on.
Not a problem.
So yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, so it got a lot of play, and I mean it's the reason we got signed to Capitol Records in Los Angeles. The president of the company was a big fan of Worlds Away. He sent a really nice personal letter to all the agents in the field and stuff. You got to check this out, when you've got time, and this is like a new Knights in White Satin or something, and all this
Yeah.
kind of thing. So it was a cool time.
That's awesome.
Now, are there
And
any of
you-
those songs that made it onto the album that almost didn't make it?
Well, the only reason a song might not make it on an album is because we just got way too many songs.
Yeah.
And we were not ready for like the double album or triple album or whatever. It's like
Sure.
so we would just well, these are the songs we feel strongest about, and
Right.
but not to say that the other songs weren't equally valid or whatever, but and also then the record company gets involved. It's like, well, these are the songs we want. I can remember, first of all, Dean Cameron was the president of Capitol Records Canada,
Right.
and he was our champion, and I love the guy. I'm just prefacing this story with that so that you understand. It's not I'm not saying anything negative about him, but one day he walks into the studio, and we're working on a song called "Home of the Brave" on the second album, and he says, I wouldn't spend any more time on this song, and it's not really happening. And it's like, oh, well, I don't like to disagree, but as soon as he left, we just kept working on the song.
Right.
And but it was so much fun because 6 months later or whatever, the record comes out. I hear Dean telling people about the album. Oh, you got to hear "Home of the Brave," man. What a track. It's fantastic. It's like, yeah, Dean. No, thanks to you.
Kind of axed the song altogether.
Yeah,
I think that's
so,
what it takes, though, right? You got to believe in your songs.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you write them for you. You hope other people like them, but I'd hate to have a song on an album that you're now going to get stuck singing for years and years, and you didn't like or believe in. That would be
No,
awful.
and fortunately, there are no Strange Advance songs that that I wouldn't want to play.
Right.
So our whole catalog is open to us, and we're happy to to dive into the deep end and grab a cut that hasn't been played for a while. And so yeah, I'm very fortunate that way, because
Yeah.
I do hear of bands who are like, oh God, don't make us play that song again. So. But
Yeah.
hey, I remember Simple Minds. They did not like, Don't You Forget About Me. That was not their favorite song to play, and
Right.
and it's only now, I think, in over time, where it's like they realize, hey, without that song, we would have been dead in the water.
Yeah.
So
That
it
funded a
built
lot
a
of
whole
Yeah.
career.
I've heard that
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Really. I'm seeing them next week. I'll have a talk with those guys. Say
Yeah.
what's
Have
up.
a chat. Have a
Yeah.
chat.
That's
Yeah.
right. I mean, sure, I'm here to see modern English, but I'm going to take some time to talk about Simple Minds.
Ah, they're a great band. You're
Dude.
gonna love it.
They are a great band. Who knows? I just hope it doesn't rain. that's the age that we are now. You go to see
Oh.
great bands. I just hope it
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
rain. It's sort of a nice
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. Exactly.
So to a flip around of Andrew's question, I guess, then, because there's probably cuts of songs that didn't make the albums for whatever reason. Do you ever go
Oh,
back
yeah.
and revisit some of those and you're like, you know what, this has got legs? We could probably, like, a new
Oh,
Strange
yeah.
Advance album could be made up of the old cuts.
Well, I definitely dragged a few from the 80s into Strange Advance 4, which is a CD we released a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
And basically it's just, we sell it at shows and stuff. And people ask about So when you're releasing, it's like, you know, I don't anticipate Strange Advance ever ending up on the new radio charts anytime soon. That's just not going to happen. But we're in good company because, I don't believe the Rolling Stones are ever going to be charted again either.
Yeah.
So it's basically for, the diehard fans. It's like, look, I loved what you did before. I would really enjoy hearing what you're up to now. And so, I'll always do that. I'll always, have music available to people on a smaller level, but I'm not into trying to find a label deal, distribution, or anything like that. It's like,
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't really mean anything to me anymore.
Saying you're still writing though. Maybe
All the time.
there's another chapter still on the horizon for you guys.
Yeah, there could be. I definitely have songs in different, sort of genres that, if I found the right young artist to work with, that might be an avenue for the material. So I'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Nice.
a movie or something picks up Worlds Away, and the next thing you know, Strange Advances opened up like just a whole new audience gets. Oh wow!
Well, there's a producer in Hollywood that's used us in a couple of TV shows, and he's partners with J.J. Abrams. So I've been waiting for years for the call from Spielberg, but that hasn't happened. So maybe this will work out. I don't know.
Well, you know what? For those who are just tuning in or don't know, but one of Strange Advances' songs was in episode 12 of the Golden Girls. So if you go back and scroll back, that was quite the episode.
That's a little known fact that you've dredged up there. Good
I know.
for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's terrible, Drew. I'm so sorry. Do you ever have I was just talking to another songwriter this morning. We had this question about just like on average, if you're going to release or just create an album, you're looking at, maybe like $10,000, depending. Like you said, it all depends on how much money you have and the quality of the album, blah, blah, blah. And so we were just talking about sometimes it takes a long time for musicians who traditionally, if they're younger or just, not doing it full time, they don't have a lot of money. It takes a long time to get an album out. They parse that 10 grand or whatever it's going to be over, 3 to 5 years. And what you said was, interestingly enough, you finally get this album together and you realize that some of your songs, at least to you as the writer, are no longer relevant. And he said that's what he has struggled with in the past because, and people like the song because, but I'm tired of playing it or whatever, because it's now 10 years old, but it's not relevant to me anymore. It just takes that long in Canada to do that. So have you ever had that experience where, when early on, before you became successful and record companies were like, okay, we got this, we'll take the bill and whatever. Were you trying to put stuff together? And then by the time you kind of got it out there, you're like, I don't know, is this relevant, or that just didn't happen?
Well, now actually, you're sort of
or maybe I'm wrong. If you don't agree with that, that's fine too.
Oh no. But I'm just thinking back in the very early days. Surprisingly, we were kind of on a punk path. A bit punky, a bit
Right.
thrashy.
Yeah.
And I can remember two or three songs from that time period that, if we had decided like, oh, that's the way for us. So yeah. But then when Worlds Away and different songs like that came about, it's like clearly this punk thing has no bearing on this
Right.
sound. So we just sort of left those songs behind. But
Well, with the punk
could have been
rock
very different
music,
for us.
with the punk rock music, were there bands that you were listening to at that point that were inspiring you, that were kind of pushing you in that direction?
Well, I guess again it was all the UK music scene. That's what we were listening to, and it's like it's not like I'm not talking about hardcore American punk necessarily.
With your
Let's say
Clash, Mascaleros, that
sure,
maybe.
yeah, closer to
Legitimate
that.
punk.
Yeah, legitimate punk.
Legitimate
None of
punk.
that
It was
fake
about
ass.
fashion in the States, but it was about legitimate punk in Britain.
That's right. That's right. It's like the common man fighting the Anyway, so but yeah, we went off in a different direction, and also I grew up I grew up with, prog rock and stuff. I was a big, Genesis, yes, King Crimson, Gentle Giant, all those sorts of people. So that's really where my heart lay.
Yeah, I
And
was gonna say your music really, it really does blur lines with the prog rock, your synth music, your new wave,
yeah,
and it sounds like that sound was very intentional.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, I guess basically, you're sort of trying to emulate your heroes to some degree or whatever. Pink Floyd was a big group for us as well,
Yeah.
and and of course it was a thrill to work with their producer Michael Kamen and their engineer Andy Jackson in their studio in London, Britannia Row. And
Wow.
upstairs is Hypnosis, who did all the album covers and stuff. And so I got to meet Storm Thorgerson or whatever his name is, and you know, ah, yeah, it was a magic time.
What was it like to walk through those studio doors for the first time?
Well, it's just it's so historical.
Yeah.
It's like so much good music has been made there, and you're kind of stunned into silence, essentially. And also, we brought in a few of the players that work on Pink Floyd albums, and yeah, it was awesome. It was the best. Actually, before we left, we were planning to record with David Gilmour on his houseboat. Houseboat, I guess it's maybe an understatement. But anyway, he's got like a phenomenal studio on this boat on the Thames, and it's like, oh, this is great. And Michael Kamen, it's like, well, guess what? I've got David Gilmour is going to solo on these two songs. It's like, whoa, and and David Gilmour, Michael Kamen says to David, why don't you do that more often? Why don't you guest on people's albums and stuff? And David Gilmour says, no one ever asked me. It's like, okay, well, we're asking. So, but
Wow.
unfortunately, we fired the producer before we got a chance to do the session with David Gilmour. So that was very unfortunate.
How'd that come about?
But
No one saw the long game on that one. Like, let's not fire him till after we get Gilmore's track.
you know something, it was we were at a critical state where we were he was ready to start mixing the album, and we're
Right.
like, Michael, the album is not finished. It's
Right.
like we've got all these overdubs, we've got all this work to do. It's like, and I didn't know at the time that he was just dead broke. He needed the
Oh,
balance of the payment, and he was
Oh,
just
okay.
desperate to finish the record so that he could, continue to fund his rather lavish lifestyle. I mean, he leased Jimmy Page's house in England, in London, for like a phenomenal amount of money because he was making millions from Pink Floyd. But Pink Floyd finally decided, well, we're not touring anymore. This is silly. Why do we have all these people on the payroll? It's like,
yeah.
so they
Right.
just pulled the plug, and poor old Michael was like, oh, I got to work for a living now. It's like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
So that was the end of that chapter. So yeah, that's the way it
Hmm.
went.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Here's another fun fact about Strange Advance that Storm Thorgerson was also the stripper name that used their song for the thing. So full circle. Full circle.
Good one.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice.
It's
Nice.
all on Wikipedia. People can look it up. It's fine. Whatever. Just keep talking. It's fine. Drew, no one gave you any warning about this podcast. Eh? It just goes off
No,
the rails.
no,
Periodically.
I can
It's
see
going to
that.
take a left turn.
Yeah.
It could take a
No,
left
I
turn.
can
at
see
any point.
that.
Traditionally, we always finish an episode with what we call a lightning round. Yes, Andrew,
Okay.
you've got one, right?
Yeah. I'm
okay.
good.
I didn't want to say something, set him up. So lightning round, Drew, goes like this. We ask you a question. Hey, man, shoes or boots? You just pick one. It's a completely unscientific way of getting people to get to know Drew. So Andrew puts them together. He's awesome. You can't get it wrong. So don't think about the answer that much. Okay.
I'm not thinking.
All right. You got 10 questions and then we'll kick you to the curb. And thank
Here we
you
go.
before you go. Thank you for hanging out with us
Yeah,
today. I really
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
My
It's nice
play was
meeting
fun.
you.
Nice
Yeah.
meeting
All
you.
Okay,
Andy.
let's get this rapid fire going. Analog synth or digital?
Oh, analog.
Where does the real magic happen? Does it happen on in the studio or on the stage?
The studio for sure.
Yeah. Which city has the better vibe for making music? 1980s Vancouver or 2020s Vancouver?
Oh, I hate to say it. Yeah, 1980s Vancouver for sure.
Yeah. Lyrics first or music first?
Either or.
Awesome. Okay. Concept album or hit singles?
Oh, concept album. Way more meat.
Nice. Which gets the crowd deeper into the feels? A moody ballad or a synth-driven anthem?
You can never go wrong with a synth-driven anthem.
Nice. Tour
Yeah.
bus or teleportation?
Oh, please teleport. Beam me up, Scotty.
What the hell are you talking about? Teleportation?
I mean, how would you rather travel across the country? Do you want to sit in a little coffin or you just want to be beamed up? Come on, dude.
I feel like having my molecules scrambled seems risky.
I hate to say it, but I've seen the prairies. I don't think I have to see them again.
Okay, fair enough.
fair.
I'd rather be in a 1970s Pinto that explodes than like, just come on, man.
Lance, these questions aren't for you. Like the
Okay,
driver's
I know. I'm
driver's
sorry.
got to
I'm
get
sorry.
going here.
I know.
Got to
We
get
have
another
lightning round
pickup.
for the driver. don't we?
Okay. Writing at midnight or writing at dawn?
Oh, I love the midnight hour. Yeah,
Laser light show or moody minimal lighting?
I'm all about the lasers, and we are all about the lasers. Come for the music, but stay for the lasers.
I love it. Okay, number 10. Here's our last one. Spiritual guide in the afterlife. David Bowie or Bob Marley?
Well, as much as I love Bowie, I think I'm going to relate more to Bob. Yeah.
There we go. And
Wow,
that has
good.
been another episode of Backstage Lowdown.
It's a good question on that last one.
Drew, again,
Do we have a
thank you
question
so
for the
much.
Uber driver? Do you like regular people or rock stars? Who do you want in your back seat, buddy? Like, come on.